My name is Juliana Nykolaiszyn with the Oklahoma State University Library. Today is Thursday, December 6th, 2007, and I am at the El Reno Carnegie Library in El Reno, Oklahoma, interviewing Peggy Piersall. This interview is being conducted as part of O State Stories, an oral history project of the OSU Library. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Well, let's begin. Tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from.
I'm from El Reno. Grew up, I was born here, but lived in Germany for a year in Colorado Springs and went to school at OSU.
Okay. And tell me the years you attended.
Oh, it's down there. I think no, from 1950 to 54, and then I was out 2 years and went back in 56.
Oh.
Graduated in 56.
And what was your major?
Elementary ed.
Okay. Now, tell me a little bit about your parents. Did your parents have college educations?
No. They both, they graduated from high school, but no.
And what did they do for their profession?
My dad had a dairy, and then he also was sheriff for 8 years of Canadian County.
And your mom?
She worked as a salesperson in clothing.
Did you grow up on a farm?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what types of things did you have on your farm?
Lots of cattle. And I always had to keep the cattle out of the corn.
How'd you do that?
Oh, Dad didn't have a fence between the wheat and corn, so I had to just be sure they stayed where they were supposed to, on my horse.
Wow. And what was your favorite activity on the farm?
Riding my horse.
Uh-huh.
In fact, I took my horse to college.
Really?
Yeah.
What was your horse's name?
Honey.
Honey. And where did you store honey? I'm not sure what the agriculture term is.
I don't think it's store. I had her on a pasture outside of Stillwater.
What's the term?
Board.
Board? There we go.
Uh-huh.
And did you ride her often?
When I was in high school, I did. But after I got to OSU, I didn't have that much time to ride her, so I just kept her there for a semester.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell me about some of the classes you remember taking.
Well, I'll tell you about my history class,
Okay.
Oklahoma history. Governor Gary was going to come to visit the campus. He could be on stage. And so my professor said, Peggy, if you'll wear your cowgirl hat and boots and stuff and be on the stage with Governor Gary, you won't have to take your final. So that's what I did.
That's nice.
They wanted a representative from all the clubs, and so that's what he wanted me to do. So
Now,
So I guess I made history.
What club did you represent that day?
Rodeo club.
Now, were there a lot of female members of the rodeo club?
Oh, I'd say a third, maybe almost a half were.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just a third.
And what were some of the activities you were involved with the rodeo club?
Well, I was in. They would attend the college rodeos,
Mm-hmm.
and I was in the Block and Bridle rodeo, and I was in the goat tying event. I didn't win, but it was fun.
Was goat tying your specialty?
No, barrel racing was my specialty, but they didn't have it.
Barrel racing. And how did you learn how to barrel race and goat tie and?
Well, actually, that was the first time I goat tied. But I barrel raced when I was in high school, and it was fun. My dad would take me, and after every time he'd tell me, well, next time we're going to do this. One time we were coming home after I didn't win, and he said, I think we need to get you some spurs. So he got me some spurs, and my horse was always ready to go. But so when we left, I spurred him, and I mean, he jumped about 40 miles and almost lost me. I didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad said, I know one thing, next time we're going to throw those darn spurs away. So I wasn't great, but I had fun.
And do you still keep in touch with any members from the rodeo club?
She'll just turn on.
You could. It's up to you.
If I could,
It'll stop in a second.
yeah.
I'm sure. It's up to you if you need to check it.
I don't need to check it.
I'll just wait till it stops.
Okay. There. What was your question?
Do you still keep in touch with any members from the rodeo club?
Yeah. In fact, it's real funny. Jim Ward was a rodeo clown, and I hadn't seen him since college days. And I do artwork, and so I was in an art show in Texas, and the booth next to me was Jim Ward. He's a painter too.
Wow.
So I signed in, and we had a good talk.
Now I'm not very familiar with rodeos, so you have to forgive me. But even back then, they had rodeo clowns.
Oh, honey, they had rodeo clowns years before then.
So
Do you know what the rodeo clown's job is?
No.
Okay, when a guy gets bucked off, the rodeo clown comes and runs and gets in front of the bull and try to distract him, so he won't gore.
And were students rodeo clowns? I mean, in the rodeo club?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, wow. That's kind of impressive.
Yeah, he was.
And dangerous.
Yeah, and the sad thing was my son turned out to be a bull rider.
Uh-huh.
But when he got married, he finally stopped. I'd go to the rodeo to watch him, and when they called his name, I'd go to the car.
It's dangerous, too.
It's
It's a very dangerous
Yeah,
sport.
it is very dangerous, yeah.
Okay. What were some of the buildings you took classes in? Do you remember?
Old Central
Mm-hmm.
was one, and out the field house. And I don't remember the names of the others.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I remember Student Union.
Mm-hmm. And would you hang out in the student union?
Yes.
What would you do there?
Drink coffee.
Mm-hmm. Remember what floor?
It was on the main floor.
The main floor. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then they had dances at the Student Union, too.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember those dances?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the music?
No.
Do you remember where the dances were held?
Up on the top floor, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, where did you live while you were in school?
Stout Hall.
Stout Hall.
Mm.
Tell me about living in Stout Hall. What was that like?
It was fun. I lived on the 4th floor, and we were all a close group. We called ourselves the fourth floor posse. But and I was proctor, so I checked the other floors too, and I worked in the office.
Now, as proctor, what were, outside of checking the floors, what were some of your other jobs? What did you have to do?
I would, in those days, I was an elevator operator. And then I worked in the office, and put the mail away in the boxes and stuff.
Tell me about operating the elevator. I know it sounds odd.
Well, they had this little handle, and you push it down or you push it the other way to go up. They tell you what floor they want to be on.
Okay.
So.
Did you have to get it just right to stop it?
Yeah.
Or else it would end up higher or lower? And did you have any social activities in the dorm? Did they hold any dances or?
No, not in the dorm.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you remember your dorm mother?
Mrs. Scott.
And what was she like?
Oh, she was the sweetest thing.
And was she an enforcer?
She was like a mother. And Mrs. Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
They both were real good.
Do you remember having a curfew?
Do I? Yeah, we had a curfew. I forget. We had to be in by 8:00, and then it was study hall, and you couldn't even be out in the hall. You had to be in your room studying, and then and you had to check out over the weekend if you were going to be out of town and what you were going to do. And one time I went to a movie in Perry, I think it was, and I didn't sign out, and so then we had a wreck. This guy hit on the passenger side where I was, and so we didn't get home when we were supposed to. And so I don't know, maybe it was just 30 minutes late or 40 or something like that. And they were both standing there at the door, and I thought, I've had it. And they said, "Oh, hurry, get in here." They didn't do anything to me. They were glad to see me.
Well, that's good.
So that's curfews, but I only did that once.
What would happen to somebody if they were to break curfew?
I don't know if they'd be turned in or what,
Mm-hmm.
but it would be something like they'd be turned into the dean or whatever.
How did you do your laundry? Your laundry.
Down in the basement, they had bush. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite memory living in the dorm?
You want to hear a funny one?
Sure.
Well, after I got engaged to my husband, Penn, he was in Acacia, and he was right across the street. And so he and his friend came over, and they hollered at me. They hollered at the window, "Peggy, come out, come out." I said, "I can't come out." I mean, it's about 10 o'clock or whatever. I said, "I can't come out." And so Dean said, "Just jump." And the guy next to him says, "She can't do that." And he said, "Don't worry, I had my hands in my pocket."
I take it you did not jump.
No.
That's good. That's good. How did you get from home in Canadian County to Stillwater?
Do you mean why did I decide to go there?
How did you travel?
Transportation,
Mm-hmm.
Okay. With a friend usually. There were a bunch of people from OSU.
And they had cars.
Mm-hmm. And they had cars, so we just ride with them.
And did a lot of people have cars back then?
Oh, I'd say parking lots were full, so I guess they did, but I didn't.
And did well, you worked in the dorm.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And let's see. Tell me about we talked a little bit about the rodeo club. Tell me about the other activities you were involved with on campus.
Oh, Baptist Student Union.
Mm-hmm.
In church, but it wasn't on campus. I went to First Baptist in Stillwater. And like I said, went to the dances.
And at the BSU, what type of activities would you guys?
Oh, they would have parties too, and they had vespers every night.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Tell me about this donkey basketball game. I'm very interested to hear about the donkey basketball game.
Well, that was once in a lifetime. But was it the Waves?
Mm-hmm.
The Waves were on campus at the time, and they challenged us to the donkey basketball game. And so they were pretty big girls. So I had this real nice big girl join our team. And the donkeys have pads on there. They're supposed to walk back, and you're supposed to ride them, and they walk back and forth towards the goal, and then you have to shoot when they're under the goal. And so a lot of us fell off, and a lot of us had to pull our donkeys around because they wouldn't mind. And anyway, to make a long story short, we won 2-0, and I got the goal.
Where did you get the donkey from?
Well, these companies come in, and we didn't go pick out our donkeys.
Uh-huh.
They come in. They had the boys play too, but the donkeys were just about that high, just a little donkey. But they wouldn't move like you wanted them to.
And how did you get involved with the Board of Publications? Tell me about that.
Well, it was an office you ran for, and they just asked me to run. So that's how I was. And then we would have board meetings probably once a month.
And what was your group responsible for governing?
Well, like we would have to approve the budget, or, they would discuss different things like that. It was just like a business meeting.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember homecoming back then, what it was like? You tell me about it, parades or house decorations or
All of the above.
all of the above. What was
Yeah.
it? Can you describe it for me?
Well, they just had lots of pretty floats. They were always working on it. Took days and days and days to do them, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I always went to the football games.
Really, what was that like?
When we won, it was wonderful.
Did a lot of people attend games?
It was always full, yeah. But of course, the stadium wasn't as large as it is now.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember any campus traditions?
You realize it's been over 50 years.
I know.
Oh, well, pep rallies, They'd always say pep rallies.
Did you remember any basketball games?
Oh, I never missed a game.
How did you get tickets?
Well, in those days, you got them when you enrolled. I mean, you had to pay for them, but you got season tickets when you enrolled.
Mm-hmm.
And you could go to all the games, with your season ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Football and basketball.
Was seating widely available?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have to
It was crowded, but I always found a place to sit.
Mm-hmm. Outside of campus, do you remember any hangouts you like to go to? Outside of
Oh, up at Campus Corner,
mm-hmm.
which is right across from it used to be across from the fire station up there on the corner.
Uh-huh. And what would you do there?
Drink coffee.
Uh-huh.
Just hang out, how people hang out.
Lots of coffee drinking back then.
Yeah.
Did you go on many dates?
Yeah.
Tell me about a typical date. What would you guys do?
Oh, probably go to the movie.
Mm-hmm. And where was the movie at?
It was downtown.
Do you remember the name of the theater?
I don't know. It seemed like it started with an L, but I can't remember.
The Leachman?
Leachman, yeah.
Leachman. And did they have one screen or two screens or?
One.
One? Okay. Now on campus, outside of the student union, would you gather any other place?
Oh, the BSU, the Baptist Student Union,
Mm-hmm.
it was off campus.
Okay. Okay. Now with your friends, what did you do for fun?
Well, I guess all those things I've mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did your parents visit you a lot when you were in school?
Not a lot, but they did occasionally.
Did you go home a lot?
Oh, about once every couple of months. When I was first there, first enrolled, everyone was going home. The first weekend, I thought, oh no, I'm not going. So I didn't go till the third, but it was really hard on me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I came over the hill and saw El Reno, I almost cried. But after that, after I got involved and stuff, I didn't.
Now, why did you decide to attend Oklahoma A&M?
And that's just what I always wanted to do. And I also got a little scholarship,
Mm-hmm.
but I was gonna do that before anyway.
And why education?
Because I love kids.
Okay. And tell me about your husband. How did you meet your husband?
Well, I was working in the office, and he came to pick up a girl. He had to bus for him, and they'd come down. and she was late. And so he said, I know you. And I said, no, you don't. And he said, yes, I do. And then he started singing to me. And so then she came down and they went out. And so then a couple of days later, a friend of mine said, Dean wants to know if he called and asked you to go out for coffee, would you go? And I said, yes. And so then it was about a week before he called. And we went together for 3 months and we got married. And I knew my mother wouldn't like that. So we were going to elope. So we had it all planned. We were going to elope in February. And my roommate was going to, I was going to act like I signed out to go home with my roommate. And about 3 weeks before the time came, she said, Peggy, I'm not gonna let you elope. I'm gonna tell your mother. And so I had to tell mother. And so we got married at a church wedding in Reno. Mm-hmm. But mother said, no, you can't get married. You're too young. And my dad said, she'll always be too young for you. So anyway, I got married.
Oh,
we got married. And then we came back and went to school.
And what was his major?
Engineering, geology and engineering.
Okay. And what year did he graduate?
I guess it was 57.
Okay.
I don't know if it's 56 or 57. But he graduated after I did. And then he was manager of the Turnpike, of the Oklahoma Turnpike for 8 years. And he worked in engineering. He was chief engineer.
Wonderful.
But he passed away in 94.
Do you remember some teachers in education that were very influential to you?
I can remember her face, but I can't think of her name. She was real enthusiastic, a little teacher, and she was really enthusiastic.
What did she teach?
Art.
Mm-hmm. And what types of classes did you take for your major that you can remember?
Well, you take the basics, the first 2 years basics with science and biology. And for that, I had to take a music class where I had to learn to play the piano, which I never did, really. And history,
Did you have to do any student teaching?
Yes.
Where did you do that at?
In Stillwater.
In Stillwater. Okay. What was that like?
It was fun.
Mm-hmm. Did the students respond well to you? What subjects did you teach?
Well, in elementary, you teach
Everything.
all of it more or less.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. What grades do you remember your student teachers?
Second.
And do you remember the name of the school?
No, I should go back and look up all of that. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Is there a place on campus that holds a special place in your heart?
Well, I suppose Stout Hall and then the field house,
And why?
I guess because it was just so much fun.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about when the school changed its name from A&M to OSU?
Like I said, I didn't feel one way or another, but I decided I'd graduate from A&M.
Uh-huh. Okay. And
I understand why, because university sounds more powerful
mm-hmm.
than college,
Do you try to make it back to Stillwater for homecoming, or have you visited in the last 50 years?
Oh, yeah. At first, I've been back for homecoming. In fact, both of my daughters graduated from OSU. So, I would go back then. And my son went 3 years, but he didn't graduate. And so we're an OSU family.
You have lots of orange in your blood.
Oh, yeah. But my grandson was a merit this year. He's a merit scholar, and the sad thing is, he's going to OU.
Well, I guess we
But
have to forgive him.
Yeah, he got a big scholarship, so
Well, that's good.
I forgave him for that. Money counts, I guess.
I've noticed that alumni and students from OSU and A&M have such great loyalty. What do you think sparks that loyalty?
I just think even the campus is so much different than other schools, I think, because everyone just feels friendly and everything. I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think OSU fans are different than the other school, because our team can lose and lose and lose. We don't care. We're still backing them. The other ones, they just walk out if they're behind.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
So I don't know what makes us so loyal. I guess we're for the underdog.
Catch me up. After you graduate from A&M, what did you end up doing between then and now? Tell me about what career you went on to.
I taught school over in Yukon for 27 years, and then whenever I retired in '83 because of health problems, and since then I've taken up art, and so I've been doing watercolor and oils, and going to shows and things like that. And then before I graduated, did I tell you we went to Germany?
No, you need to tell me a little bit
Okay.
about that.
When I stopped school there, when my husband was going overseas, I had a little girl, Patty, and and then I was expecting my son, and so he flew over there first, and then I took Patty and flew over, and then my son was born in Frankfurt, and then I was there for about a year, and then when we came back, that's when I went back to school. And so then after I graduated, I taught school there in Yukon.
Did you teach high school or elementary school?
Well, first I taught junior high, and I did that for 3 years, and then I went back to elementary.
And how long did you teach elementary?
Well, I guess 24 years.
Okay. A nice long career in education.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to students today?
If they have any chance at all, go to OSU. They won't regret it.
And is there anything that I have not asked you about that you want to share with us today? Tell us about your time on campus. I totally missed.
Oh, I think you had on there something about Theta Pond.
Yes.
Well, at Easter time, this boy gave me a baby duck, and I snuck it into the dorm. And it, like if you go down to take a shower or anything, here it would follow me. I thought I was its mother,
Oh.
And so I kept it for a while, And so as it got bigger, I thought it should go to Theta Pond. And I felt so sad because when I turned it loose, it still wanted to come with me.
Did you visit it often, or?
No. Well, because it'd want to come with me. But I had to walk by Theta Pond every day to go to classes.
Uh-huh.
So but as far as, I guess that's all Theta means to me.
Were your classes spread out over campus?
Uh-huh.
Was it a far walk from one end to the other? Were you ever late, or?
Oh, one time I wasn't late, but at Old Central, there was this cute football player. And the stairs were icy. You might say I fell for a football player. But that was the end of that story.
Do you remember when the new library was built?
Mhm.
Did you spend any time in the library?
Yes, a lot.
What do you remember about the library?
Well, it was built before, I think, when was it built? It must have been built before I got there, but it was brand new.
What floors do you remember studying on, or is there anything you could describe for me about it? Or?
No, I did a lot of studying there, but I don't remember the floors.
Okay. Any questions?
Was it a challenge to be married and be a student?
What was when I went? Well, not to be married and be a student.
But what about when you had children?
But when I had children, in fact, I was called in because I go home every weekend. Because see, my oldest one wasn't quite 2, and then I had the young one, and I just missed them so much. My mother kept them, and then I go home every weekend, and so my advisor said, "Now you've got to buckle down. You can't miss them that much." But that was the hard part.
When you were married and you returned from Germany with your family, where did you live?
Oh, we lived. In fact, you know where Eskimo Joe's is? Well, that used to be a grocery store, and my husband used to work there. And then our apartment, when we were first married, was right across from there. It was in a house, and we had 3 great big rooms, and it was nice. But when we came back, we were in a one bedroom in the same place behind that, where you had to pull out your bed, from the wall. It was one room. But and it was $40 a month, so it was a pretty good price.
Well, we do appreciate you taking time out to share your memories of campus. It's been very interesting learning about the donkey basketball. I don't think I've ever heard that, although I will say...
Oh, they have donkey baseball, too.
Do they?
Where they hit and have to run to the base,
Crazy. And I will say today is the first day I've heard from, you're my second elevator operator, but I haven't till this point interviewed anybody who operated an elevator, except for coming today to El Reno, which I find just immensely interesting.
Oh, were they at OSU also?
Uh-huh. And she was in another hall. She wasn't in Stout.
Willard or?
She may have been in Willard. But she operated the elevator there too. So, no, she was in Murray maybe.
Yeah, I think it was
Murray. So I thought that was quite interesting. That's something we don't really remember to ask about the elevators.
You don't hear it too much.
What about telephones? Where were the telephones in the hall?
Oh, in our room.
Oh, really? You had?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, no, they weren't. My room was here and the telephone was right next door. And then they'd holler at you,
Who would grab it? Would just the closest person?
Just whoever, would answer the phone going down or whatever.
Nice. Okay. Well, if you don't have anything else you'd like to add, we'd like to thank you very much for coming out today and sharing your memories of campus, and we thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.